welcome to TiVi Tuan-san News at 6. My name is Emma Doe. In today's news, a police officer is charged with manslaughter in the Oklahoma shooting, Victoria's population passes the 6 million mark, and a Vietnamese bilingual school program in Melbourne's West dodges a bullet. To today's top story, a white police officer who fatally shot an unarmed black man in the USD of Tulsa has been charged with first-degree manslaughter. Police video shows Terrence Crutcher walking towards his car with his hands in the air before being shot by Officer Betty Shelby. Court documents state Officer Shelby fired because she was overcome with fear that Crutcher would kill her. Under Oklahoma state laws, charges of first-degree manslaughter face a sentence of at least 4 years in jail. Meanwhile, protests in Charlotte, North Carolina continue into their third consecutive day, after the fatal shooting of another black man by police. Police have now shown video footage of Keith Scott's death to his family, but protesters are calling for the footage to go public. While police maintain that Scott was holding a gun before his death, his family claim he was holding a book. North Carolina is now in an official state of emergency after Wednesday night's protest left one man critically wounded. 8 civilians and 4 police officers were also injured. The internet company Yahoo has confirmed at least 500 million of its accounts were hacked in 2014. Stolen data includes email addresses, names, telephone numbers, and encrypted passwords, but not payment cards. Yahoo only identified the breach a month ago and is now working with the FBI to identify the source of the attacks. The company is encouraging users to regularly change their password. In other news, the United States and Russia have failed to agree over how to revive the Syrian ceasefire. The two superpowers butted heads in meetings at the International Syria Support Group held this week. The United Nations Syria mediator described the process as long, difficult, and ultimately disappointing. On Wednesday, the US Secretary of State John Kerry unsuccessfully pressured the Russian and Syrian government to halt planes flying over Syria. The original peace deal, settled earlier this month by Russia and the US, fell apart after 1 week when an aid convoy was bombed in the country. A US police officer in the Californian state of San Jose has been charged with leaking police intelligence to a Vietnamese street gang involved in gambling, drugs, and extortion. American daily newspaper, the Mercury News, reports Derek Antonio has been charged with 5 counts of unauthorized computer access and 1 count of being an accessory to a crime. If convicted of all charges, Antonio faces a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison. Police allege that Antonio, who has been with the department for more than 9 years, helped a gang known in the San Jose area for operating out of Vietnamese cafes and businesses. The investigation into the gang, dubbed Operation Gang of Thrones, launched in March and ended with Antonio's arrest alongside some 23 others. Meanwhile, in Vietnam, a court in Hanoi has rejected an appeal by a well-known blogger and his assistant, sending them back to prison for criticising the government. 60-year-old Nguyen Hữu Vinh, better known as An Ba Sam, has been sentenced to 5 years in prison, while 35-year-old Nguyen Thị Minh Thuy has received a 3-year sentence. The two were found guilty for abusing the rights to freedom and democracy to infringe upon the interest of the state. The judge added that posts by Vinh and Thuy distorted the truth about Vietnamese leaders and the state. Security around the Higher People's Court near downtown Hanoi was tight with roads blocked off. New York-based Human Rights Watch has called for the release of both defendants. Police in Taiwan have taken a Vietnamese woman into custody for abandoning her 1-week-old baby at a temple in the country's west last week. According to Taiwan's central news agency, the woman was arrested late Tuesday after police were tipped off. Video footage from the temple's camera reportedly showed a woman placing the baby, wrapped in a piece of cloth, in a paper bag at the temple. She was later found by police at a rental apartment. The National Immigration Agency has identified the woman as a Vietnamese migrant worker who had fled from her employer. Back in Australia, Victoria is officially the country's fastest growing state by population for the first time in 7 years, according to the Australian Bureau of Statistics. Victoria's population has passed the 6 million mark, with overseas migration being the key factor behind the growth. New South Wales was the next fastest growing state, followed by Queensland and the Australian Capital Territory. The Victorian population is projected to reach 7 million in 2024. Police are searching the Queensland property where schoolgirl Tiali Palmer lived with her foster parents before her murder last year. Forensic teams and excavators were called to the Chambers flat property outside of Brisbane to continue hunting for more evidence in the murder case. Earlier this week, police charged the girl's foster father, Rick Thorburn, with her murder, while Tiali's 19-year-old foster brother was charged with incest, and her foster mother and 20-year-old foster brother charged with perjury and perverting the court of justice. They are expected to face court next month. Parents in Melbourne's West can now breathe a sigh of relief after a campaign to save a Vietnamese bilingual school program proved successful. Community newspaper Star Weekly first broke the news last Wednesday, reporting that Footscray Primary School planned on axing the Vietnamese language immersion program. A campaign to reverse the school's decision was soon launched, gaining almost 600 signatures around the school and online. Last Friday, the school announced it would reconsider its stance, adding that more consultation would be held next term. The language immersion program is the only one of its type in the western suburbs. That's all from TV Tuan-san, News at 6. I'm Emma Doe. Thanks for watching and have a good weekend.